Yo, what's up, artist? I was given the task of speaking to you guys on the verse Jesus wept. Now, this is what's known as the shortest verse in the Bible. There's only 2 words to it, and yet just because there's 2 words to it doesn't mean it's not necessarily impactful. When taken in the greater context, we can see how impactful this verse is. First and foremost, the verse begins with Jesus, which is the most important thing that we can think of in the scriptures, because the Bible is all about Jesus from Old Testament to New Testament. Everything in the Bible is pointing to Christ, and this is what Jesus said. But even besides that, we get to see out of this verse a taste and a glimpse of who Jesus is. And when we hear of him weeping, it doesn't mean that he's weak or that he's a sissy or that there's something wrong with him, but it does reveal to us the nature of the humanity of Christ. So I'm going to give you 4 quick points out of this idea that Jesus wept, and it's going to use the words wept to explain what this verse is all about. First is W, and W can stand for with. What we see about Jesus in these verses is that he is with people. In the context of this, Jesus has just showed up to a funeral. People are crying, they're sad, and we see Jesus with them. And this is what the Bible is all about, right? The Bible is all about Jesus being with us, that God manifested himself in the flesh to be with us. The next thing is E for empathy. What we see is even though this is a transcendent God who has come into the flesh, that Jesus, knowing the beginning from the end, he's empathetic to our causes. So whatever you may be going through, whatever situations in life may be happening, you could definitely find that Jesus is empathetic towards you. The Bible says that he was tested at all points just as we, yet without sin. And so he has empathy towards us in our weaknesses and our issues and our problems. He gets it. He gets us. He understands us. Next is P. So P I'm going to use for power. So what's awesome about this is that even though Jesus is seen weeping right here, next in the verse, he doesn't stay there, but he does something about it. And in his case, he was able to call Lazarus back from the dead in the funeral. Now, this doesn't mean that every time there's suffering, we're going to call somebody back from the dead. But it does mean that we need to realize that in whatever situation we find ourselves, we can have empathy, but let's not forget that we also have power to move that situation forward. And so in the Christian life, we're called to both be empathetic towards the sufferings of this world, but we're also called to move things forward, to use the power, to use the strength, to use the gifts, to use the things that God has given us to do that. And the last part is I'm going to use for T and out of wept. In T, the thought for T is this: testimony. So whatever situation you go through, you have the opportunity for it to either become a tragedy, and that's all you talk about is how tragic it was, and all you do is complain and mope over a situation in your life, or it can become a testimony. You can look back and see some of the things that happened in your life and see, you know what, Jesus was with me in this situation, he felt me in this situation, but there's some things that he's given me so I can overcome this situation, and it's these things that help me and strengthen me to do and to know more and to become more like him. So that's your 3-4 minute sermon for the day. Have a good day, artist. Bye.